You're listening to the Naptime Empires podcast with my mom, Nikki Elledge Brown. Mom, your show's on.
Thanks, bud. I got it from here. Welcome to the Naptime Empires podcast, refreshingly honest conversations on the realities of parenthood and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Nikki Elledge Brown. Let's get started. A lot of times you'll hear people talk about how our most precious commodity or our most precious non-renewable resource is time. And to some degree, yes, that's true. We can't get it back. But what I've experienced over the last few years is I've had lower physical energy with the move from Hawaii to Texas and all of that, and some adrenal fatigue issues that manifested. What I realized is it's not even necessarily about the amount of time that you have to do things, because I've actually had plenty of time, especially now that my husband's home pretty much full time. I've got time. I've got support. We live near my parents now and my sisters. I feel more supported than ever, but it's what good is that if you have time, if you don't have energy to do things in that time? So we'll talk about multitasking. A lot of people talk about multitasking, and especially moms, especially women, in my experience, we tend to brag about it. Oh yeah, I can do all of these things at one time. But the truth is our brains are basically like supercomputers, right? And when you think back to the olden days, or maybe now, if you had a PC and your computer started to run really inefficiently, it would slow down or start freezing and kind of hanging up on you. Then you would press Control-Alt-Delete. The task manager window would open up and you would see all of the programs and applications that were running in the background, some of which you didn't even realize were there. And they were basically draining the energy and the resources of the computer. So it wasn't performing well. It's frozen, slow, inefficient, maybe grouchy, or maybe that's us, right? The point is, what I want to anchor in for us today is this idea of closing the tabs in our brains, shutting down some of those applications and actually just clearing stuff off the list because it's draining our energy. And so that's, I believe, our most precious resource, like I said, because I've experienced what it's like to have plenty of time on my hands, but then just to be not having the energy to do anything with it. And I believe our energy is our most precious resource. And so I wanted to share with you just some lessons and reflections on how to close the tabs. When you're feeling really overwhelmed, this is just what I do. And I'm passing it back to you to see if it's helpful to you. Hopefully it will be, because I believe for your business, for your family, just for yourself, for your friendships, your relationships, for your art, for your creativity, for your purpose, this is one of the most valuable exercises we can do. It can be really simple, and you're going to feel so much better on the other side of it. I have a lot of related episodes on this that I will link to in the show notes at naptimeempires.com/061, like how to make time for personal stuff, master the art of the micro hustle, and get back in the game. But really what I want to talk to you about, the star of the show, the star of this episode, is what I like to call the brain sneeze. The brain sneeze. At first, if you ever watched, what was it called? Duck Dynasty back in the day, Uncle Si ate a snow cone or something. And then he was like, oh, I got a brain sneeze instead of brain freeze. So Uncle Si is the one who came up with the phrase brain sneeze. But I like to apply it because I don't like the word dump. When people say brain dump, I just don't like the word dump. So I like to think of it as a brain sneeze, where you're just getting everything out of your brain. So that's going to be the first step of what we're talking about. And the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, actually, before we get into the how-to, the reason why this is the topic that's top of mind for me to record right now is because I'm actually, right now, I'm in Sedona, Arizona, kicking off what I'm dubbing BFF week. So I'm spending a few nights with some of my dear buddies, Jada and Nicole and Jen, and then I'm spending 2 nights with one of my very best friends, Bree, in Phoenix. And I'm really excited about it, but I used this trip as a timeline and a countdown for me to light a spark under my booty to close some tabs that have been lingering. If you look at my little spreadsheet calendar from last week, there's all kinds of stuff that I was like, okay, I'm leaving on Sunday. I need to get all of these things done before I leave. So that's one of the things I want you to keep in mind. It's what are the things that light that spark under your booty to actually start closing the tabs? And how can you manufacture that for yourself so that you can kick your rear in gear and close some of these tabs so you can get your energy back instead of just shuffling things from day to day on your to-do list? So travel is one thing that inspires me to do-ish and get my ducks in a row because I think about how I want to feel when I get home. So some of the examples of tabs that I have closed in the last few days, paying my credit card, getting receipts to my bookkeeper so that I can hot potato that so that she can be working on stuff while I'm not over here on my holiday with my friends, rescheduling Diki's dentist appointment, rescheduling my dentist appointment. Like, these are things that have been running in the background. It's not necessarily something that I've had in my head every day. Well, Diki's more than my own, but like my own dentist appointment, I was actually supposed to go in November, and I don't think I've ever gone more than six-ish months, mostly because I had the most ridiculously gorgeous dentist office in Hawaii. So I wanted to go to the dentist because the view was ridiculous. Like, you could see whales. They would have binoculars during the season when the whales are there, because you could see the ocean and everything. It was really beautiful. Not so much with the current dentist office that I go to. So I wasn't in a rush to get back to there, but still, it's important for my health and well-being. So I mentioned in the last episode, getting my rings resized, booking a call with a friend where we've been going back and forth for like weeks, if not months, of trying to schedule a time to talk to each other. It's like, let's just tie it down, close the tab, get it on the calendar, paying invoices. And then even with the house physically, I love to clean before I leave so that whenever I get back, yes, my family is going to be living there while I'm gone, but there are certain things that they wouldn't even notice that I was like, I don't want to come home and still be facing this clutter. For example, last year, I hired a professional organizer named Carla, who is amazing, and she came over and helped with our master closet and decluttering that. I should probably do a whole nother episode on the power of decluttering in case you're not familiar or you just need reminders on recall like I do, because probably you have experienced the power of clearing out the extra junk that you don't want or need, or the great stuff that you can pass along to someone else who will love and appreciate it more. It's a powerful thing. But anyway, last year we were organizing the master closet. We pulled everything out, but there was some stuff that just didn't need to go back into it. And so that stuff has actually been sitting in the front room across from my office, which has doors with windows. So I've been staring at these little shelf organizers that we haven't been using for several months, if not a year. And finally, just before I left for this trip, I was like, I am clearing this room today. This is happening. I'm not going to walk back home on Friday afternoon and see this same stuff staring me in the face through my office doors. It's just not going to happen. I'm also going to get shades for my office doors so that I don't have little drive-bys, walk-bys with my family just peeking in to see whatever I'm doing. It's unsettling and distracting. I love them, but sometimes you just got to focus. So if the shades are down, mama's working. Anyway, that was another loop we closed. I have to tell you a whole nother story, probably around the topic of blooming where you're planted and really letting yourself feel home wherever you are, about my couches. But even like couches and reshuffling furniture and stuff, like all of these have been loops that don't seem like they're urgent, but in my head, in order for me to feel settled and clean and clear and have energy and focus and mental capacity to devote to other things, these were important to me this particular week, right? Always acting in our own alignment with our highest values. And for me, like the nesting instinct is really big before I travel. So those are some examples of what I'm talking about. But what I want to encourage you to do, the active homework part here, is to make a brain sneeze. And what I like to do is to do it by hand. There's something about writing by hand. Scientifically there is, but for me personally, so maybe for you too, I would encourage you to take out a piece of paper or a few pieces of paper. If you want to fold them in half, hamburger style, then you can do that. But I like to have one page or half of a page per topic. For example, I would have one that's like back end admin stuff, or if it's Naptime Empire's podcast stuff, or if it's family and personal stuff, or stuff for the house. Like, you know how you want to categorize it in your brain, but basically one page per topic. A good brain sneeze will do you good. And so do it by hand. I encourage you to do it by hand. Really, promise me that you're going to do this. Can you please take a screenshot and tag me and let me know? Or even take a screenshot or take a picture of your brain sneeze. That would be even better. And then tag me at Nikki Elledge Brown and hashtag Naptime Empire so I can celebrate with you. Because even just doing this is going to make you feel so much better. You don't even realize all the stuff you're holding in your brain right now. So we're going to let it out. So one piece or side of paper per category, get it all out. Just keep writing. You don't even necessarily have to do anything with it, but knowing that it's there in a physical space outside of your brain is already going to help you feel better. That's my hypothesis. but you have to test it and confirm and let me know your results. So the first step is the brain sneeze. Just get it all out, everything that you've been holding. And there's going to be stuff in there that you didn't even realize you were thinking about, like, oh, the life insurance, or writing letters to my kids in case something, like that's something that's been circling around in my brain for years. But you'll be surprised. Just let it out. All of the things in any personal, business, whatever, just write it all out and get it out of your brain. And then it's time to close the tabs. And in order to do that, you have to make some decisions. Because even if you feel like you're not making decisions and that's why you have all the tabs open, you are actually making a decision to let yourself hold all of that at one time. So now we're going to decide and we're going to close the tabs. And so there are options of things you can do. And I think I have a blog post on this from years ago. And I've heard other people share a similar framework. I can't remember where I first heard it or if my brain thought of it as well. You know how there's shared ideas out there. I remember Amber McHugh talking about it too, in a similar way. But I want you to think about 4 Ds. Well, actually it's 5, because the first is to decide. So when we're closing the tabs, 1, you've got to decide. And then these are the options of things. Kind of like if you're decluttering, it's mental decluttering. These are tasks and things that you're going to do. Like you're either going to keep it or trash it or give it away, whatever. So we're going to decide. And these are your 4 options. Number 1, delete it. Like it just isn't even relevant in your precious time and space and energy. It's just not something that even matters right now. And you're just going to be brutal and cut it. It's out. Goodbye. Okay. So you could delete it completely. Like that doesn't even need to happen. Doesn't matter. I don't care to circle back to it. If you're not ready to delete it, but it's also not important right now, then you can delay it. Just flick it to the future. And by that, you do need to anchor it into like a Google Calendar reminder so that you don't have to hold it. And you know that in whatever time frame you decide, you're going to circle back to it, but it doesn't need to be done right now. So you can delete it completely. You can delay it. But if you're going to do that, you need to put it in a calendar so that you have a reminder. It'll email you and say, what do I think about this? Or now it's time to schedule this. Or maybe by now we need to make a plan for XYZ. But if you don't need to do it, delete it or delay it. Another option is to delegate it if you don't have to be the one to do it. So if you're going to delegate whatever it is to your partner or to your childcare provider or to your child or to your assistant or to a friend that's going to help you to make the decision or whatever, at this point, for it to count as closing the tab, you need to be clear on the whole who, what, where, when, why, how situation. If you're delegating, I do know that I have an idea, a blog post on things that you can delegate. If you're interested in that, I'll put that in the show notes. So it'll be there on things that you can delegate in your business. But I mean, all kinds of things that you can delegate. If you're not going to be the one to do it, but somebody needs to do it soon, then that's the choice. Delegate it. So you're going to decide if you're going to delete it, delay it, delegate it, or just do it. As they say at Nike, just do it. Do the thing, especially if it's going to take like less than 5 minutes. I mean, you get to decide what your threshold is, but do it. And if you're not doing it literally right now, then put it in your calendar and trust that you're actually going to do it. And you're going to go back and rebuild trust with yourself because you're going to put it on your calendar and you're going to be like, oh yeah, I remember how great it feels when I close the tab and I start to build the momentum and I'm going to do these things. So in summary, you're going to do a brain sneeze. You're going to realize and be super honest with yourself that you have way too many effing tabs open in your brain right now. And it's not serving anyone because it's actually draining your energy. It's making you slow, inefficient, snappy. And that's not how you want to live your life and spend this precious time that you have. Because like I said, it's not about the time. It's about the energy that you have to enjoy or make something fruitful that only you can make in this time, even if that's snuggling with your kids. And then at least you can close the tab and be like, oh, I don't have to worry about XYZ because I have that scheduled, or I deleted it and because I realized it wasn't important, or I delegated it, or I have it in my calendar for when I'm actually going to do it. And of course, give yourself grace and flexibility. Life happens, blah, blah, blah. But you know what I'm saying. There's just too many tabs open right now. So if it's been a while since you've done a brain sneeze or a tropical brainstorm, that's another thing I like. But that's kind of slightly different. Brain sneeze is just getting it all out. Just letting all of the things that are circling around in your brain, slowing down that CPU that is your brilliant mind, We're going to get it all out on paper. Like I said, one sheet per category, however you want to categorize it, getting it all out so that it's in one spot. And then you're going to go through, like I said, even if you just did that, that's awesome. But the bonus round is to actually go through it and either cross it out. So you're deleting it. You're going to delay it and flick it to the future and put it in a reminder so you don't have to hold it in your brain. You know that it's out there and it'll come back to you in proper timing. Or you're going to delete it very specifically and give them a timeline so that it doesn't then become a whole nother, oh, well, now I have to circle back with so-and-so to make sure that was done. So you're going to be crystal clear on that. And you're either going to do it right now or you're going to put it on your calendar to do it within, let's say, the next 2 weeks. I'm just making that up. But I would really, really love for you to do one thing. I mean, I would love for you to decide, delete some things, sure, like do the brain sneeze. I would love to celebrate the brain sneeze with you, but I really would love for you to think about what is one of those programs that's taking up so much of that processing power. When we're talking about that task manager and you're picturing that with the programs and apps that are open in the background, what is one of the things that's like you get the most bang for your buck when you close that tab? What is that thing? And can you do it this week? And put it on the calendar and decide when you're actually going to do it. And even if you don't want to start with the big thing, it's okay. Also, you can go the opposite way where it's like, let me just start with some little things that are really easy to just delete or knock this off my list right now and do that. Because really the main goal here is I just want to help. I just want you to get your energy back, just some of it. And it's not required like sleep, vitamins, exercise. This is literally just the processing in your brain. You're holding so much. As a business owner, as a mom, especially if both just humans in general in today's society, like there's just so many things that are going on at one time. I remember back in the day, I used to love marking down all my stuff, like in middle school, planner stuff. And I would track all the details and all the different classes and the homework and the extracurriculars and blah, blah, blah. And then that just keeps growing and expanding, right? And then we grow and mature and we can handle more complexity. But it always comes back to the basics of the brain sneeze and then closing the tabs by deciding. And so this is a tool that I use. I'm really hopeful that it's going to be helpful to you too. Please let me know, screenshot, like I said, that as you're listening to this and let me know that you're going to do it and then circle back or take a picture of your brain sneeze or take a picture of whatever the thing is that you're doing, the tab that you're closing. I would love to celebrate with you. The permission slip is already drafted. All you got to do is sign it. So this is just me sliding the paper over, grab your favorite pen, close some loops and get your energy back. I can't wait to celebrate with you. Instagram at Nikki Elledge Brown. You can find me there. I'm super excited to keep connecting with you here via the podcast. It's really exciting to see you sharing over on Instagram. It's just a fun place for us to connect. So reminder, close the tabs. This life is precious. It's too precious to be going through and trying to carry all the things at one time. You just don't have to do that. Even if you're just delegating it to the piece of paper, to saying, here, piece of paper, can you please hold this for me? Because it's a lot in my brain. Let the paper do its thing. Take a deep breath. Close some tabs and get your energy back. You've got this.
This show may be over, but the conversation is just beginning. Head on over to naptimeempires.com/Facebook so you can join my free... Wait, did I say free? I meant priceless, rapidly growing community of Naptime Empire builders for deeper discussions, behind-the-scenes scoop, and of course, updates whenever I've got new stuff coming up for you. naptimeempires.com/Facebook. See you there.
See you next time. Thanks for listening.
Good job, buddy.